Question 1. When using tie-downs, what weight should they be able to lift? Answers: A. Half the weight of your cargo. B. Twice the weight of your cargo. C. 2. D. The same weight as your cargo. The answer is A. Explanation: according to federal regulations, the collective limit of any securement system used to prevent cargo from shifting must be at least 1/2 times the weight of the cargo. You can calculate the number of tie-downs needed by looking at their weight ratings. Question 2. When you first approach your vehicle, which of these should you look out for? Answers: A. All of the above. B. Low wires. C. 4. D. People in the vicinity. The answer is A. Explanation: it's vital that you are aware of all potential hazards in the vicinity before undertaking any maneuver with your vehicle. Question 3. When beginning a long downgrade, which of these should not be a factor in choosing your speed? Answers: A. How far you are ahead or behind your schedule. B. The steepness of the gradient. C. The road and weather conditions. D. 2. The answer is A. Explanation: never base your driving on your planned schedule, always on the conditions you are facing. Question 4. When is it safe to remove the radiator cap? Answers: A. Whenever it is cold outside. B. Anytime, as long as the engine isn't overheated. C. When the cap is cool enough to touch with a bare hand. D. As soon as you've stopped. The answer is C. Explanation: don't take any chances with your radiator cap. If you open it while it is still hot, you can receive a blast of steam which can cause serious injury. Question 5. Approaching a gang working on the highway, you should. Answers: A. Rev your engine. B. 2. C. Flash your lights. D. Cut your speed. The answer is D. Explanation: workmen may often have their backs to you and be operating heavy machinery, which means they can't hear you. Slow down and make sure you are ready to take avoiding action if one of them becomes a hazard. CDL test. Master your CDL exam in no time. Download now. Question 6. Which of these is not an essential feature of a spare tire? Answers: A. In as good condition as the tires on the truck. B. Same manufacturer as other truck tires. C. At the same pressure as the rest of the tires. D. 2. The answer is B. Explanation: while it is not essential to have tires from the same manufacturer, a spare must be the right size, in good condition, and at the right pressure. Question 7. What is the minimum tread depth for tires that are not front tires? Answers: A. 2. B. 1/32 of an inch. C. 2/32 of an inch. D. 3/32 of an inch. The answer is C. Explanation: 2/32 of an inch is the minimum tread depth. Check it with a tread gauge, and if it's right on the limit, inform the owner that it will soon need to be changed. Question 8. Why might your brakes start to fade going downhill? Answers: A. Because your momentum is increasing. B. Because they are overheating. C. Because of centrifugal force increasing. D. Because they've picked up gravel from the road. The answer is B. Explanation: as your brakes start to heat up, they may become spongy and less effective. This is why it is essential that you choose the right gear to take advantage of engine braking. If you rely solely on your brakes, you may find yourself with no brakes at all. Question 9. When checking your vehicle's load, you must make sure it conforms to. Answers: A. All local, state and federal regulations that will apply to your journey. B. 4. C. The local regulations of the jurisdiction you are starting from. D. The state regulations of your destination. The answer is A. Explanation: you are responsible for adhering to the regulations in every jurisdiction through which you drive. It's no defense to say you are adhering to the regulations of your departure point or destination if stopped in a state city which has different regulations. Question 10. What should you consider when using a GPS mapping system? Answers: A. It should be programmable specifically for trucks. B. It should have a screen bigger than 4 inches. C. 4. D. It should be of US manufacture. The answer is A. Explanation: you should always use a GPS system which is either specifically for trucks or programmable for them. That way you won't get directed onto roads which are unsuitable or banned for trucks, directed to bridges without enough clearance, etc. Question 11. What is the safest way to control your speed on a downgrade? Answers: A. Using your brakes at all times. B. Coasting in neutral. C. 1. D. Taking the wide line around curves. The answer is undefined. Explanation: on very long downgrades, your brakes simply won't be able to do the job on their own. If you select the correct low gear, the effect of engine braking will allow you to preserve your brakes for particularly steep areas rather than using them all the time and seeing them fade. Question 12. Which of these should make you reject a vehicle until it is rectified? Answers: A. Tires that are different sizes. B. 2. C. Tires that are retreads. D. Tires that have different tread patterns. The answer is A. Explanation: tires which are different sizes can cause serious imbalances, steering problems, and braking difficulties. Question 13. If you smell exhaust fumes in the cab, what should you do? Answers: A. Stop immediately. B. Open the windows. C. Check at the next stop. D. 1. The answer is A. Explanation: exhaust fumes leaking into the cab can be fatal, either by poisoning you or by making you drowsy. Stop at once and don't carry on until the problem has been found and resolved. Question 14. If you're driving a 30-foot vehicle below 40 miles per hour, how much time should you leave between yourself and the vehicle in front? Answers: A. 3 seconds. B. 4 seconds. C. 2. D. 5 seconds. The answer is A. Explanation: below 40 miles per hour, you should allow a second of space between yourself and the vehicle in front per 10 feet of your vehicle. Remember, this is the absolute minimum. Other factors such as visibility and road conditions may dictate you leaving more room. Question 15. What is blocking and bracing? Answers: A. A form of coupling. B. A way of keeping cargo secure. C. An emergency stop. D. 2. The answer is B. Explanation: blocking is placing material tightly around your cargo to prevent movement. Bracing involves struts running from the top part of the cargo to the floor or walls of the cargo compartment. Question 16. The most important reason for your pre-trip inspection is? Answers: A. To make sure you're not blamed for any existing damage. B. 1. C. To make sure you've got the right paperwork. D. To make sure that the vehicle is safe. The answer is D. Explanation: the safety of the vehicle is paramount, you're going to trust your life to it. Question 17. Who is responsible for making sure all lights and mirrors are clean? Answers: A. Whoever drove the vehicle previously. B. The company maintenance staff. C. The vehicle owner. D. The vehicle driver. The answer is D. Explanation: even if the mirrors and lights have been cleaned already, they may get dirty before you take the vehicle out or on your trip. Always have a clean rag or sponge handy to make sure they are kept in the best condition. Question 18. If you experience a fire whilst your vehicle is moving, where is the only place you should pull over? Answers: A. 2. B. An open area. C. Near other vehicles. D. A service station. The answer is B. Explanation: keep a burning vehicle away from anything else which could catch fire. In particular, don't enter a service station where you could ignite gas pumps with catastrophic effects. Question 19. What's the most important reason for making sure that you signal well before you make a turn? Answers: A. To let oncoming drivers know what you're doing. B. To dissuade other vehicles from trying to pass you. C. 4. D. To warn vehicles exiting the junction you're entering. The answer is B. Explanation: get following drivers used to the idea that you're about to make a turn. If you signal too late, they may think that you are pulling left, changing lanes, or turning left, and they may try to overtake you on the inside. Question 20. Which of these will not prevent distracted driving? Answers: A. Pre-planning your route. B. Pre-programming your favorite radio stations. C. 3. D. Pre-loosening the lid of your coffee flask. The answer is D. Explanation: it's good practice to get your cab set up exactly as you would like it before you start your trip, but eating and drinking should be kept for stops. CDL test. Master your CDL exam in no time. Download now. Question 21. If you feel yourself start to become sleepy while driving, what should you do? Answers: A. Stop and sleep. B. Stop and get some exercise. C. Drink plenty of coffee. D. Open the windows to get some fresh air. The answer is A. Question 22. Why do vehicles hauling hazardous materials need warning placards? Answers: A. So traffic cameras can track you. B. To remind you to take extra care. C. So emergency services know what they are dealing with in an accident. D. To alert other drivers to give you a wide berth. The answer is C. Explanation: there may be circumstances in an accident, e.g. if you are unconscious, where you will be unable to tell the emergency services what load you're carrying. That's why it's essential that your vehicle is clearly marked as carrying hazardous materials to help them assess the situation. Question 23. Which of these trucks will have the shortest stopping time? Answers: A. One which is fully laden. B. One which is empty. C. One which is 2/3 empty. D. 4. The answer is A. Explanation: it may not be obvious, but a fully laden truck will have the best stopping distance. This is because everything about the truck is designed to work best at full load. If bringing back an empty or partially filled truck, be aware that your stopping distances may be greater. Question 24. Where can you find the maximum weight loading for pressure for a tire? Answers: A. On the manufacturer's website. B. Written on the dashboard. C. 2. D. Printed on the tire. The answer is D. Explanation: every tire should have its maximum weight loading for different tire pressures written on the tire wall. Question 25. How far into your trip should you make your first inspection of your cargo? Answers: A. Within 25 miles. B. Within 50 miles. C. 3. D. At your first rest stop. The answer is B. Explanation: if a load has been poorly secured, finding the errors within 50 miles could be the difference between a minor adjustment and a major disaster. 2.1.6 Inspection during trips. Section 2. Driving safely. Illinois Commercial Driver's License Study Guide. Question 26. Which of these is the only thing which should not cause you concern when checking your tires? Answers: A. 3. B. Tires from different manufacturers. C. Low tire pressure. D. Canvas showing through the rubber. The answer is B. Explanation: as long as tires match in size, they don't have to be from the same manufacturer. All the other defects need to be either rectified or the tire replaced before you start. Question 27. How should you check for leaks in hydraulic brakes? Answers: A. Hold the brake pedal down for 5 seconds, then pump 3 times. B. Push the pedal down and listen out for leaks. C. Drive forward then slam on the brakes hard. D. 4. The answer is undefined. Explanation: by pumping the brake pedal you should cause resistance. Once you've done it, you should be able to hold the brake pedal for 5 seconds without feeling any weakness or give. Question 28. If there are two left-hand turn lanes for you to choose from, which one should you use? Answers: A. Take the center of both lanes. B. It makes no difference. C. 2. D. The right-hand lane. The answer is D. Explanation: if you make your turn from the right hand of two turning lanes, you give yourself more room to swing round the turn, and also it is easier for you to see traffic coming up your left-hand side than traffic on the right. Question 29. What's the very first thing to be checked before making any physical tests on your pre-trip inspection? Answers: A. That all lights are working. B. That parking brakes are on and/or wheels are chocked. C. That the passenger door is locked. D. That the engine starts. The answer is B. Explanation: before doing anything physical with the vehicle, make sure that it isn't going to move during your inspection, putting you or others in danger. Question 30. How do you calculate the amount of following distance space you have? Answers: A. Use your odometer to measure a specific distance and divide it by the time it took you to reach there. B. Pick a clear landmark, then count off the seconds between the vehicle ahead passing it and you reaching the same landmark. C. 1. D. Estimate the length of the vehicle in front, then estimate how many vehicle lengths there are between it and you. The answer is B. Explanation: pick a point on the road, a shadow or landmark, for example, and count the time between the vehicle ahead passing it and you reaching it. This is the simplest and most accurate way to make this calculation. Question 31. Before descending a hill, it's essential to be in the right gear because? Answers: A. 4. B. You won't be able to drop to a lower gear once you start descending. C. It will help you speed up when you get to the bottom. D. It will help extend the life of the gearbox. The answer is B. Explanation: engine braking is essential when descending a hill, which means you have to be in a low gear. When the wheels start to speed up, it may be difficult or impossible to change gear. Question 32. What is the best way to know what another driver may be doing? Answers: A. Guess what you would do in their situation. B. Observe their head and body movements. C. 1. D. Observe their speed. The answer is B. Explanation: drivers may forget to signal, but they rarely fail to look in the direction they are going. If you're close enough to observe their head and body movements, you can pick up valuable clues about their next action. Question 33. Which of these is not a situation where you should use your low beam headlights? Answers: A. 4. B. Driving through tree shadows. C. Dusk. D. Dawn. The answer is B. Explanation: in poor light conditions or low visibility, your low beam headlights can be a great help. You don't need them when driving through temporary patches of shade. In fact, flicking them on and off might distract or confuse oncoming drivers. Question 34. When backing up, which side should you back towards? Answers: A. Neither, only go straight backwards. B. The left-hand side. C. Either side. D. The right-hand side. The answer is B. Explanation: if given a choice, always back towards the left-hand side. It's where you have the best visibility. Question 35. Crossing railroad tracks, you should change gear? Answers: A. As many times as you think necessary. B. Once. C. You shouldn't. D. 1. The answer is C. Explanation: it is forbidden to change gear as you cross railroad tracks as it increases the likelihood of a stall. Make sure that you're in the right gear before you start crossing. Question 36. How often should you check your gauges, air pressure, temperature, etc.? Answers: A. 4. B. Every time the vehicle is stationary. C. At every rest stop. D. As often as practicable. The answer is D. Explanation: after your senses, your gauges are the next best way of monitoring the health of your vehicle. Question 37. When you see a hazard ahead, what should you do? Answers: A. Alert others by hooting and pointing. B. Come to a dead stop. C. Start planning on what action to take if the hazard becomes an emergency. D. Speed up to pass it as quickly as possible. The answer is C. Explanation: a hazard is only a potential emergency. Don't take panic action, but calmly plan what to do if matters get worse. Question 38. When double clutching, what should you do if you have difficulty getting into the next gear? Answers: A. Rev the engine to jolt the gearbox. B. 4. C. Drop back to the previous gear. D. Return to neutral and bring up your engine speed to road speed, then try again. The answer is D. Explanation: never try to force your gears. Go back to your starting position, rebalance the revs and speed, and it should then change smoothly. Question 39. What should you do when caring for a conscious accident victim? Answers: A. Give them a hot drink. B. Keep them warm. C. Get them to walk around if they can. D. Give them painkillers. The answer is B. Explanation: always keep an accident victim still, in a safe place, and warm. Don't give them liquids, food, or drugs as that might affect any subsequent medical attention they need. Question 40. What's the most important tool you have to monitor the condition of your vehicle when underway? Answers: A. The truck manual. B. Comments from other truckers. C. Your gauges. D. Your eyesight, your hearing and sense of smell. The answer is D. Explanation: become thoroughly familiar with your vehicle so that any changes will be sensed immediately. CDL test. Master your CDL exam in no time. Download now. Question 41. How many tie-downs should a cargo be held with? Answers: A. At least one for every 5 feet of cargo. B. 2. C. At least one for every 15 feet of cargo. D. At least one for every 20 feet of cargo. The answer is undefined. Explanation: your cargo should have one tie-down to every 10 feet of cargo. However, remember that there is also a minimum of 2 tie-downs for any cargo, however small. Question 42. Which of these fires is it not suitable to use water on? Answers: A. 1. B. Paper fires. C. Gasoline fires. D. Tire fires. The answer is C. Explanation: if you throw water on gasoline, you will not extinguish the flames. You will simply spread the gasoline over a wider area, still burning. Question 43. When pulling away in snow or icy conditions, what technique should you employ? Answers: A. Quickly accelerate to desired speed. B. Keep the brake partially depressed as you pull away. C. Let the vehicle start to slide before applying the accelerator. D. 1. The answer is undefined. Explanation: excessive acceleration or braking can cause wheel spin and skids, especially in snow or ice, while a careful measured pull-away can avoid this. Question 44. Approaching on and off ramps, you should remember? Answers: A. That the length of ramp may be too short. B. To brake sharply. C. That the posted maximum speed may not be suitable for your vehicle. D. To maintain your highway speed. The answer is C. Explanation: remember to use your judgment about speed limits. They are a maximum, not compulsory. Rely on your own judgment, not a sign. Question 45. Both federal and state law insists that all vehicles must be inspected before a trip by? Answers: A. The driver. B. The owner. C. 3. D. A qualified engineer. The answer is A. Explanation: ultimately, the responsibility for your vehicle being safe and roadworthy is yours and yours alone. Question 46. Why should you make sure you keep your vehicle in the middle of your lane? Answers: A. To make the most space for a turn. B. To let other people get the best view of you. C. To stop other people passing you. D. To avoid drop-offs. The answer is D. Explanation: many roads have drop-offs at their sides. These can disrupt your steering and tilt your vehicle so that you may catch overhanging trees and wires. Leave a decent space from the edge of the road to make sure you don't slip into a drop-off. Question 47. Which of these substances can impair your ability to drive safely? Answers: A. 2. B. Homeopathic medicines. C. Soda. D. Some cold medicines. The answer is D. Explanation: some cold medicines may cause drowsiness. Always check the bottle and, if necessary, with your physician before taking. Question 48. Which of these conditions are the ones when you should downshift in advance? Answers: A. Before entering a curve and entering a downgrade. B. As you approach a tunnel. C. 2. D. As you go around a junction. The answer is A. Explanation: Downshifting before you reach a curve will ensure that you start to slow and also have power in hand coming out of the curve. You should always select a lower gear for a downgrade to take advantage of engine braking. Question 49. In very hot weather, how often should you inspect your tires? Answers: A. Every hour 50 miles. B. Every 3 hours 150 miles. C. Every 4 hours 200 miles. D. Every 2 hours 100 miles. The answer is D. Explanation: if your tires are too hot to touch with your bare hands, then they are too hot to drive. Let them cool down. This will naturally bring them back to their correct pressure as well. Don't be tempted to let air out. Otherwise they will return to a pressure which is too low